In this Monster Hunter Wilds video, we're going to be taking a look at the best skills for Sword and Shield in this game. There are a total of 148 skills in Monster Hunter Wilds, and in this video we're going to cover the very best ones for Sword and Shield. The Sword and Shield is a very versatile weapon that is good at a lot of things, even though it may not excel in any one single aspect. The Sword and Shield features a very mobile moveset where you can slash the monster with quick successive strikes, or stun the monster with a powerful shield combo, or go into the backstep combos, which have the option to fling you into the air with a scaling slash, making it easier to mount monsters. The Sword and Shield is able to do all that while offering a decent guarding capability with its shield. As a very versatile weapon, there are a lot of skills that work well with the Sword and Shield, depending on what you want to focus on. So to begin, we'll go into the best skills for Sword and Shield before we get into some other skills that are not quite as good. The first skill is the Critical Eye. The Critical Eye skill increases your affinity, and at max level it increases your affinity by 20%. This increase in affinity is really great with the Sword and Shield, especially with Sword and Shields that already have high base affinity, and it'll let you land critical hits overall more often. Since the Sword and Shield weapon does not have any special mechanics that it functions around, unlike some weapons, you can easily go for more straightforward skills when using the Sword and Shield, and these will provide you with a lot of value. The next skill, Critical Boost, is also great on the Sword and Shield. If you want more damage with your critical hits, the Critical Boost skill will increase the damage by up to 40% at max level. The Critical Eye and Critical Boost skills work together to bring your damage output with the Sword and Shield to be quite considerable in your hunts. The Guard Up skill increases the level of your guard, making it possible to block attacks that were previously unblockable, such as roars and tremors, and it also reduces the incoming damage of bigger attacks by up to 80% at max level. This skill is great for Sword and Shield users who are more prone to a defensive playstyle, as they'll be able to rely more on their shield and guarding, even if it's not up to the level of, say, like the Lance or something like that. The Offensive Guard skill gives a temporary increase in attack power after performing a perfect guard, and it will provide the Sword and Shield with an easy and reliable way to increase its attack power. Slugger is an amazing skill to use with Sword and Shield, which is why I've included it here, and it increases the stunning power of your attacks by up to 40% at max level. Although it might not seem like the Sword and Shield has much stunning potential, every attack with the shield deals blunt damage and can easily stun monsters, opening up great windows of opportunity for attacking for your party. All these skills are amazing to use with the Sword and Shield, but you'll have to choose what you want to focus on with this weapon. Being versatile, there are many skills that work really well with the Sword and Shield, and as such, there are a great many choices, especially with the equipment skills on weapons. Another amazing skill to have when using the Sword and Shield is the Burst skill. The Burst skill gives you a temporary increase in attack from the initial hit and elemental attack, which is replaced by a larger boost after the 5th hit. This works really well with the Sword and Shield because the weapon's attack speed is faster than you might think, allowing you to reach the 5th hit easily and gain huge stat boosts if you have the skill at maximum level. The last skill for this tier is the Flare skill, and it's simply amazing because it makes it easier to inflict wounds on monsters. When you strike these wounds with a focus strike using the Sword and Shield, you have the option to perform either a power slash attack that destroys all wounds in the immediate vicinity, or a powerful shield bash that deals a considerable amount of stun damage while launching you upward, making it easier to mount monsters. These skills are the best to use with the Sword and Shield because they allow the weapon to deal more damage by fully utilizing its versatility and unique characteristics. However, the weapon also has the potential to use other skills depending on whether you prefer physical damage, elemental damage, or status effects. So for the next tier of skills, the first one is the Guard skill, which reduces the stamina depletion of your guards, and using this skill will let you guard more often when using this weapon, so if you lean more towards the defensive side of Sword and Shield, this is a good skill. The next two skills, Critical Element and Critical Status, will help with specific Sword and Shield builds, whether you're focusing on elemental damage or status effect buildup. The Critical Element skill increases the elemental damage of your critical hits, while the Critical Status skill boosts the buildup of status effects from critical hits. These added bonuses can help increase your overall damage when using the Sword and Shield, depending on how you're set up. The Weakness Exploit skill increases the affinity of your attacks that hit monster weak points like head, wings, and tail, and further boosts affinity if you hit or destroy a wound on a monster. At maximum level, it can increase your affinity by 30% with an additional 20% for a total of 50% if you hit a wound. This skill is in the second best tier rather than the best tier because it requires additional skills to unlock a weapon's full potential, even though it offers great buffs on its own. The next skill, Stamina Surge, significantly increases your stamina regeneration rate. At maximum level, it boosts the regeneration rate by 50%. Having this skill in your loadout ensures that you will rarely run out of stamina as you quickly regenerate it between perfect guards while striking a monster. The Constitution skill is another stamina-related skill that benefits the Sword and Shield user by decreasing the stamina depletion cost of actions such as dodges, evades, and blocking. At maximum level, it reduces the cost by 50%, making your stamina management easier during hunts. And these last set of skills are optional skills for the Sword and Shield. They're not as good as some of the ones we previously mentioned, but they're still pretty good to have, and they're better than other skills out there. Since the Sword and Shield has a relatively fast attack rate compared to most weapons, the sharpness level can drop quickly during hunts. The Protective Polish skill helps in this regard by providing a period during which the weapon will not lose its sharpness with each attack. The Foray skill is an armor skill that works with very specific weapons as it increases attack and affinity against monsters affected by poison or paralysis. At the maximum level, it provides an attack increase of plus 15 and plus 20% affinity once the required conditions are met. Again, the only downside to this skill is that it requires very specific weapons and skills to be effective. The next weapon skill, Poison Duration Up, extends the duration of poison by 20%. Similar to the Foray skill, it is very specific and works extremely well if you're running a poison-centric loadout. So that wraps up our video on the best Sword and Shield skills in Monster Hunter Wilds. I hope you got something out of this one. The Sword and Shield is a pretty straightforward weapon in that it doesn't have some of the complicated mechanics of other weapons, so generally just boosting its attack, crit rate, and defense are the best ways to go. As always, if you have further tips and recommendations for skills for Sword and Shield users, you can leave that in the comments, or if you have questions, you can leave them there as well, and I will try and answer them as soon as I can.